Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I'm researching a terror attack that's being planned on Roblox right now. So, if that idea interests you for a second, if your eyes lit up, you're like, whoa, what'd you say? What did you say? I got a video tomorrow. It's a longer video. I'm doing a lot of research for it. There's a pretty big child safety problem on Roblox at the moment, okay? But I need to get all my bases together so I don't get sued. And, even then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting it together, I'm editing it, I'm a one-man team, right? And the reason why I'm a one-man team is I follow a mantra on YouTube called broadcast yourself. The first time YouTube came out, it was really just broadcasting yourself. It allowed every person on the internet a chance to upload themselves onto the internet and make a name for themselves. And I think some of the most popular, channels on the internet are the ones with, really energetic, magnetizable, unique personalities, right? I think that's really what drives YouTube. Now, the reason why I'm making this video today is I saw something from the largest content creator on the platform, MrBeast, ladies and gentlemen. Now, MrBeast is somebody that's been in his own level of hot water, but this one is kind of about, what he's bringing to YouTube, right? What kind of content, assistive tools he's bringing, so to speak. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, he has this company called ViewStats, and they basically launched AI-generated thumbnails. Give me some of that AI-generated slop, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube has a feature like that on their platform. It's the inspiration tab in the studio. And let me tell you, it generates some of the most ass thumbnails that I personally have ever seen. Now, of course, to go to ViewStats, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of like a successor to Social Blade. Just throw in any channel over here and boom, you can basically see all their stats and shit. Now, of course, when you go down, they have a paid option. You can get the Pro plus AI option, ladies and gentlemen. And what do you get for $80 a fucking month, by the way? Well, you get a full suite of AI credits a month, generating viral thumbnails, styling those thumbnails to any channel, and of course, face swapping, recreate thumbnails, even access to a super special Discord. Now, on a surface level, I don't think this is actually all that bad. He's providing some tools for the, up-and-coming creator to get into it. But let's look closer into this AI generation tool, and let's point out the big red flags associated with this. Let's go.
There's a new way to make professional-looking viral thumbnails with zero Photoshop experience. And the best part is, this new method works in every niche. Whether you do gaming, cooking, beauty, this works for all of them. From creating custom results from any channel to literally being able to put your face on a thumbnail.
I'm beginning to wonder if any of these creators that he showed actually gave permission. Seems like Jacksepticeye didn't. I mean, I wouldn't have. But how do all these creators, these big popular guys, come together into this thumbnail generator? Well, let's see.
This is the home of the AI tool where you can type in any channel on all of YouTube and it will use it as inspiration for the thumbnail it's generating. So for example, let's say you're MrBeast. You would just type in MrBeast here. Now it's gonna look at all my recent videos and get inspiration from them. And for the prompt, I'm gonna type in stranded on a volcano. And there you go, we now have a thumbnail with me dangling on the side of a volcano.
Now, the Oxford definition for the word inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. Now, I think the word inspiration that Jimmy is using here is pulling a lot of heavy lifting. So basically what this AI seems to be doing is scraping YouTube channels that you provided for their thumbnail styles, their thumbnail efforts, and just regurgitating their thumbnail style for your video. That's really the inspiration that's being provided, right? So effectively, the big problem, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, is MrBeast is just straight up scraping for other thumbnails, okay? All of the other YouTubers that are putting in effort, even hiring thumbnail artists, they're the ones that are getting screwed over the most, right? But I'll give you a good example of how deep this level of, inspiration goes. Now, I don't really, make custom art for my thumbnails. I really don't go down that road. But the few times that I've done it, one of them came from a good friend of mine, Novica, or Imaru. You might know him from, the My Immortal readings, a lot of other, troll pasta readings that I did years ago. He's a good friend of mine, and he has a really good thing going where he's an artist, right? He draws a lot of art for the Sonic community, Sonic, content creators, and he's had an art style that he's put together years into developing. Now, all of a sudden, if you go into my channel, for instance, and you dig up videos from him, he made one thumbnail art for me years ago, where I was talking about GTA 3, something about the Dark Hell character, and, it was his art style. Now imagine if a tool like this just scrapes my channel for his art style. They're not really just stealing from me, they're also stealing from the actual human being that I hired to do this artistic work. So again, inspiration is doing pretty heavy lifting over here. And the thing about any of this kind of stuff is, you know, thumbnails are important, right? Like if you're a YouTuber, a thumbnail is very important to the game. It's kind of like walking into the red light district on a Thursday evening. You want to be the prettiest C-section scar because realistically, people only have like a few impressions they want to click on. You want to be the one at the top of the impressions click. So obviously that's the importance of a thumbnail. Now me, I don't really care. I come from that old mantra of broadcast yourself. Like for me, YouTube is like a personal diary. Whatever I'm interested in, I kind of post. And you know, it really doesn't matter to me. Like I'll make a thumbnail for things that I feel need a thumbnail, but sometimes if my face works, maybe I might stretch it out a little bit, goatsy style. It really doesn't matter to me, okay? I just like making what I want to make. And you know, if I don't look at things like CTRs and like retention rates or any of the math and graphs related to it. I feel like if that was my job and that's what YouTube became, I would probably be burnt out in a matter of like, I'm not joking, weeks, okay? Because that is probably the most annoying part of YouTube. But not really for MrBeast, okay? Because it seems like for him, content creation is more like speed running your way to actually getting virality. But let's watch more of this. Now, I have seen jizz moppers with more soul in their eyes than MrBeast when talking about, I guess, his brand, if you will, content creation. Obviously, this image to me seems pretty AI generated, and obviously if it works for Beast and he's trained it off of his own content, I guess that's totally fine. Obviously, it must work for shorts. Clearly, the world's largest YouTuber knows a thing or two about virality. But the problem with this is he's created a piece of content, he's created this like system that is completely okay with inspiring itself from other people's channels, right? Now, obviously, a lot of creators are not like MrBeast. They put a lot of actual thought into their thumbnails. The thumbnails are part of the actual, you know, production process. And again, the kind of tool that MrBeast is creating, let's be completely real, is not meant for the up-and-coming creator. It's meant for the channel that likes to throw out 10 uploads a day and find out the absolute cheat code methods to virality, right? Because for a lot of content that's on YouTube, when it comes to the AI-generated slop that's out here, you know, a channel that uploads 10 videos a day, they're okay with 9 of their videos completely getting like 5 views throughout its lifetime. But as long as they get that one video that's pulling out like 10 million views, that's all that really matters, right? That's the kind of market that it seems MrBeast is really headed out to. Not the actual creator that wants to create a meaningful video that people remember for years down the road. This is something that obviously is designed to maximize CTRs and maximize these numbers. The kind of creator that MrBeast is going for, and again, this is just a little rant on MrBeast as a creator. This guy seems like YouTube for him is like an EVE Online player, okay? It's not about exploring space or anything. It's about firing up spreadsheets at this point. And that's really the kind of vibe that I get that feels like the kind of creator that they're going for. Now, even if these tools are made for the actual user, I am not a Windows sommelier like many of MrBeast consumers here or many of MrBeast viewers. I really do feel like, again, the primary market for this is obviously the business enterprise model, right? Just to sell this to like big companies like Amazon or Pepsi or any of these big conglomerates, to sell them the secret sauce for virality in the online space. I really feel like that's what this kind of stuff is effectively made for, and that's where my theory crafting is sort of going. But again, I really can't peek into the mind of anybody to verify that claim, but that's just what's been floating in my head. Ultimately speaking, these thumbnail generation tools are tools that are first and foremost designed to inspire. And let's be completely real. In my opinion, I don't think this is so much as inspiration as blatant art theft or thumbnail theft from other much larger, much more beloved creators in the space. That's really the thing. And it's not even just those creators that it's hitting. It's the people that those creators, like I said, hire to produce this kind of stuff. And it would be fine for me if all of this was just MrBeast's trained information. But the fact that he's creating tools that are just now scraping from other creators is insane. And one thing I also wonder is how legal this is, or not legal is the best term, but how allowed this is from YouTube's perspective when you look into their TOS. When it comes to YouTube's terms of services, accessing the service, this is the permissions and restrictions, using any automated means such as robots, botnets, or scrapers, except A, in the case of public search engines, which ViewStats is not a public search engine from my understanding, in accordance with YouTube's robots.txt file. So, the TXT file in any website that tells you how scrapers should work, what they can use, what they can avoid. And of course, with YouTube's prior written permission. So I don't know if YouTube gave him necessary permission for it, because YouTube does train a lot of its engines, or Google trains itself on YouTube. Obviously, that VO3 stuff we looked at a week ago, that looks really good because YouTube is basically training that or Google is training VO3 off of all of the data ever provided to YouTube. Now, the thing with VO3 is, obviously, as content creators on YouTube, we have a deal, kind of, in a way, right? Through the terms of service we sign. That, yes, for the unlimited bandwidth space that I guess we have, obviously YouTube is going to take their cut and they're going to be using our videos to train their big AI software. Now, if you disagree with this, obviously you can stop uploading, but YouTube also provides an option to remove our content from like AI training. I don't know if what MrBeast is doing is entirely kosher, but I guess we'll let Google and MrBeast company basically decide that together. When we use the term inspiration, it's not the same inspiration that sentient human beings feel. Again, I feel like a doctor trying to explain like how fucking medical procedures work as an engineer, telling people that AIs, like whatever the ViewStats is, whatever it's backended to, whatever these common GPT services are actually just really, really good chatbots. They're good LLMs. They're good regurgitators of information, not good understanders of information, so to speak, right? Any thumbnail, any video that is generated off of these things is not something that, it would be uniquely created. It's something that is usually a mashup, a reimagination, if you will, of something that currently exists. If you look at a lot of gameplay, a lot of things generated, especially when it comes to anything AI related, you can usually, if you're astute enough, figure out exactly what the training data to some of this stuff is. Now, obviously, a lot of these companies are fighting over copyrighted shit all the time. For instance, Google wants like AI scraping to be fair use. And for a lot of these companies, it's like rules for me, not for thee. And it's basically where Google, for instance, they want to be able to get anything copyright related, scrape it for fair use purposes. And of course, they want to do this in a way where at least the only placation they can give is we can allow you ways to opt out for entities that prefer their data not to be trained in AI systems. I mean, you even got YouTubers like David Millett who are taking actual like companies like NVIDIA to court over training AI data, or training like their AIs off of like people's actual copyrighted materials, which is probably the only thing you can do. It's not, the smartest thing financially or legally to do, because going up against a big company like that is usually a losing battle, but sometimes it's the only way to counter this kind of shit happening in the world. So MrBeast, this is the same guy that famously, like in 2021, and I know this is years ago, was complaining about how a Russian channel was just taking their thumbnails and photoshopping their faces on theirs.
I really like the thumbnail you're generating, but not the face on it. Don't worry, we have this face swap tool that you can click, upload a face you do like, and it will instantly swap it onto the thumbnail. To show you how simple this is, I'm gonna take a photo of my face, okay? I'm now gonna hit face swap and take the thumbnail from this to this automatically.
Man, he wasn't really against it seems. He just found a way to profit off of it. Now again, obviously the implication here is you're just generating the thumbnail, so you could just change whatever generated thumbnail's face to whatever you want, but obviously it also allows you to upload any thumbnail you want, it seems. So if you think it's not going to be used in the same way it was used against him years ago, you'd be a complete idiot. I was reading at MIT, there was actually a new study done, Your Brain on ChatGPT, where again, the basic idea was in the abstract, using all these LLMs and tools, right, and using them in the general population, they saw that in this study, they demonstrate the matter of a likely decrease in learning skills based on the results of our studies. The use of LLMs had a measurable impact on participants. Now, obviously, this is pretty understandable. If you're going to teach people not to critically think and just rely on LLM regurgitations, yeah, of course they're not going to be able to critically think down the road because you're not teaching them the skills to do it. You're just putting them into GPT as zombies. Now, when it comes to content creation and it comes to creativity, I think the same logic also applies too, right? Like, obviously, by constantly AI generating pretty much everything when it comes to the virality of your video, you as a creator are not necessarily developing the creative, abilities to actually succeed properly in this algorithm, right? Or succeed in this world. That's where I'm coming at from this situation. And obviously, I think MrBeast content is sort of gamified to the point, and I think it's very obvious that the goal is not so much to create, content that is personable or content that, is designed, I would say, for the long term. It's really just content that is designed for virality's sake, and it's designed for, again, gaming the algorithm to get the fastest, CTR retentions, the highest sub growth, the highest views that you could probably dump. And you might be arguing that, isn't that the point of YouTube? And to me, I would say, yeah, partially, but also it depends on, the creator producing something that sets himself genuinely apart rather than being MrBeast clone number 342, or Mukbang clone number 5782, or Minecraft speedrun clone 14,000,001. Now, again, I don't care how somebody produces their content if they want to make it completely, mechanical, or if they want to put like the amount of effort into it. What matters like the most to me over here is like why these kind of tools exist and what they're doing in order to produce their content. Because ultimately, based on what I've seen with view stats, the inspiration it gets from like other content creators and just regurgitates the information and generates these thumbnails is not something that I think is ultimately a net positive to a site like YouTube or content creation. If anything, it's MrBeast giving tools to people that literally do not care about producing any meaningful content on the platform, right? These are people that want to get onto YouTube, they want to get monetized instantly, they want to basically push as much AI slop as they can per day, just so that eventually if one gets virality in the algorithm, right? Like, it's a lot of these AI channels that are super duper popular, that use the technologies that MrBeast is pushing. A lot of these channels that like upload 10 times a day, for instance, and if 9 videos do like, 2 views over their lifetime, it doesn't matter. Because if one video gets 10 million views in the course of a week, it's literally the one thing that's going to pay for the entire AI subscription service they bought. It's one of those things that literally does not matter for the creator. They just want to push as much shit as they can. Whether it be a catchy thumbnail, whether it be an AI-generated description, AI-generated title, whether it be AI-generated whatever, that's the kind of audience you're kind of pushing towards, right? And that's one of the things that, at least for the human being like me watching, I personally don't engage with that kind of content. And look, at the end, ultimately it all boils down to if developing a tool that inspires itself from the actual hardworking artists that keep a lot of our YouTube thumbnail stuff alive, and you're taking away from the other creatives in your field by letting people just easily inspire themselves from their actual content that they've spent money, time, blood, sweat, and tears, whatever on, then yeah, I think it absolutely is a problem, and I think MrBeast should absolutely be a fucking little ashamed of himself. And to be real with you, I wonder if, there are going to be a growing number of YouTubers who might have to ask themselves, is taking this guy to court possibly a legal option for us as well? Because MrBeast, while he is large, is not the only, group of content creators on this platform. That's a pretty big question worth asking. And I don't know if Beast entirely thought this through. He probably thought this was going to play really well for all the AI dude tech bros on the internet. And maybe it did for them. But the fact that he deleted his post about this shows that obviously it wasn't going to fly with the actual human beings on the platform. I was talking about, all the AI internet stuff that's coming out, like 90% of the content that's being generated. And it's just kind of like blackpilling to see one of the largest content creators on the platform openly pushing for this like AI revolution to take hold, especially considering the fact that it's not even content that's made for the fun of it. It's content that's made for the pure optimization of YouTube stuff out there. So yeah, I'm wondering, MrBeast, did you actually, ask the broader YouTube community before you just decided to like fucking scrape everybody for your, view stats project? That's something that I do genuinely want to know. Now, obviously, he's deleted anything like this, these social media posts, I'm sure because of the insane backlash received. But realistically, I do want to know. I think this is just dog shit to do. And ultimately, I think it's really telling of MrBeast and actually his entire fucking company at this point, if this is all they want to do. This is not there to help smaller creators. There's a lot of smaller creators that are doing a lot of good work. I'm going to shout one guy out. This is Hey Peter. Now, Hey Peter is somebody that reached out to me, and this guy is a longtime viewer of my channel, back during the Haunted Gaming days. In fact, he was critical of me for not covering creepypastas as much too. And he hit me up a few days ago. And in a few days, he actually inspired me to take on a new project, a second Haunted Gaming video I wanted to work on, where I went into the depths of the internet, dug out a crazy story of a man basically dying by cop because they got completely destroyed by a video game that they themselves made. A video game that was released. It's a truly spooky story. But it required me to search, record gameplay for myself, and get into that old creepypasta mood. Now, granted, not every single one of his videos slaps. Sure, he could do a better thumbnail. Sure, he could do a better title. But there's a beauty to an individual that is inspired, a beauty to an individual that takes their initiative to produce content that they enjoy, they put out for a world, and there is a group of individuals that will line up and watch their videos. Whether he gets 200,000 views, whether he gets 40,000 views, he is producing a video that is far better than he's done what 99% of people on this platform fail to do, which is actually cultivate a community and cultivate a stable community and produce the content that they enjoy going forward. And it just shows me that, like, obviously for Beast, Jimmy doesn't really give a shit, And it just shows. And to be fair, he's getting rightfully fucking roasted for it. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.